everybody, Miss Jessie here over at the Townsend Public Library, and thank you again so much for joining me for this week's story time and craft. Today we have a really fun book about a pumpkin. His name is Spookley, and it's called The Legend of Spookley, the Square Pumpkin. Now, looking at this picture and using our detective eyes, we can tell that Spookley looks a little bit different, and he may not be like the other pumpkins in the pumpkin patch. Are you ready to see what happens with him? Okay, here we go. Spookley. Written by Joe Troiano. Illustrated by Susan Banta. One day in the pumpkin patch, the strangest little pumpkin hatched. Spookley wasn't like his friends. Where they had curves, he had ends. Spookley was different. He was odd. He was rare. Spookley the pumpkin wasn't round. He was square. So you can see how he looks a little bit different than the other pumpkins. While the round pumpkins had fun rolling along, poor Spookley sat there shaped all wrong. He tried and tried with all his might, but he couldn't budge. He just sat tight. So the other pumpkins, because they're round, they can be roly-poly like a ball. And they can roll around the ground and get different places. Spookley has a flat bottom like a block. He doesn't roll. The other pumpkins teased him because he was square. Spookley wished he was round and could roll everywhere. That is, until one night when they all discovered it's fine to be round when the weather is fair, but there are times it's better to be square. Halloween was just a day away when a mighty storm blew across the bay. It tossed the round pumpkins to and fro. It snapped their vines. Then off they'd go. They're blowing all over the place, bouncing left, slamming right, banging, banging. What a sight! Spookley sat there filled with fright, but glad to be square that night. So because he was square, the wind was not able to push him around. Suddenly, the fence gave way. 3 pumpkins rolled out, oh no, and into the bay. So if you look really closely, you can see how there's a little hole in the fence. And 1, 2, 3, the pumpkins got loose. Spookley knew what must be done. It was up to him. He was the one. He teetered, he tottered, he tipped. He tried and finally flipped. He was on his side. Again he tipped. Again he flopped. Again he flipped. So he was moving his body. And then he stopped right in the gap where the fence had snapped. He blocked the way. The hole was capped. All the pumpkins shouted, "Hooray!" Spookley the pumpkin had saved the day. So the fence, I'm going to put my book down, was kind of like this. So it had, actually I'm going to use 4 fingers. So say this was the fence blocking things. Well, then that bad storm, the fence broke. And look, in that hole, if you use your imaginations, the pumpkins were falling through that hole But what shape is that hole? A square. So Spookley teetered and tottered and wiggled and moved until his body blocked the hole, so no pumpkins were pushed out. Then a pumpkin hit him with a whack. He thought his shell would start to crack. And then another one hit him with a thump, and another one with a smack. So the wind was still blowing the pumpkins, and they were all just starting to pile up on top of Spookley. But he was strong and he was brave. Then one by one, a ton of pumpkins piled on the stack, with a bang and a bash and a crunch and a crash, and then it all went back. Do you see them? And look at Spookley is down here, still blocking that hole, saving all those pumpkins. He's a hero. At dawn, when the storm had stopped, the farmer came out and checked his crop. He picked his pumpkins up one by one and laid them out in the warm, dry sun. And when the last was moved away, the farmer could see what had saved the day. An odd-shaped pumpkin, short and dense, had wedged against the broken fence. Its shell was bruised, its stem was too, but there was brave little Spookley, sitting straight and strong and true. Right then and there, the farmer knew of all the seeds he'd ever sown, Spookley's were the most special that had ever grown. In the next year, when it was time to sow, he sowed those seeds in every row. That means he planted them. He watered and weeded and watched them grow. And oh, that morning about mid-June, when the pumpkin patch began to bloom, there were tiny pumpkins everywhere, hundreds and hundreds, most of them square. Do you see in the picture? Lots of square pumpkins began to grow. Some were cubes, some were rectangular, some were flat, some were triangular. There was a bed of bright red ones and 2 rows of blue. There were polka-dotted pumpkins and rainbow ones too. There were thousands of colors and hundreds of shapes. Oh, what a garden variety makes. It's such a beautiful pumpkin patch because they're all a little bit different. Now, every year on Halloween, Spookley's patch is quite a scene. People come from far and near to see what wonders grow that year. They stop, they gawk, they gaze, they stare. Then they pick a pumpkin that's round, triangular, or perfectly square. Now you know the story of how Spookley grew. Maybe someday you'll tell someone too, and they'll go tell someone who'll go tell another, and maybe one day we will all discover you can't judge a book or a pumpkin by its cover. The end. So, Spookley at the beginning of the story was feeling a little bit uncomfortable that he was a little bit different. But by the end of the story, he realized how special being different can be. This year, when I went to a pumpkin patch, oh my goodness, there were so many different pumpkins everywhere. I saw huge ones and little teeny tiny ones and baby ones. There were white ones and greenish ones and bumpy ones. So things in our whole world are more special and even more beautiful when they're not all the same. All right, are we ready to make our own special Spookley? So in your kit that you grabbed from the library, you have all the supplies that you need for this one. You don't need to grab anything extra. Inside, you'll have a black square. You will have a wooden stick to help with the glue. You'll have a tub of glue. And then you'll have a white envelope that has all of your supplies in it, and I taped it shut. So you can open that carefully. And then it has lots and lots of orange squares. We're gonna use this to cover our shape to make it look like Spookley. And then you have one green leaf, a rectangular piece. We can use this for his stem. And then lots and lots of more square pieces. And then you should also find, and if they're hiding in the corners of your envelope, googly eyes. All right, so we can probably put, I'm gonna tilt you down, your googly eyes, your stem, whoop, my eyes were sticky, and your leaf off to the side, because we won't need that just yet. I think what we should start with is our square, our glue, and our stick, and we'll start to make him orange. So you can use your stick. It's kind of, I think it's a coffee stirrer, and you can spread some glue on. You can use your stick. You could put glue right on your shape to then put it on. Or, if you're wanting, you can even take your glue and carefully sprinkle some on your paper and then use your stick to spread it around. However you want to get that glue on there, that's up to you. So I'm going to spread lots of glue around, and then I'll be able to take my squares. Oh, and I did want to show this to you because this is a little bit silly. If you do spread your glue around, look what can happen to your shape. It makes the paper bend because it's a little bit damp. As you're working on putting your squares on, it will push it down and then it will dry and it will be flat. So don't worry. Don't say, why is it rolling? You just gotta push it down. And then you just decorate. You can put your squares on however you want. If your fingers get sticky, having either a wet wipe or a little tissue nearby might be helpful if you start getting really gluey fingers. I'm gonna stick them all around. I'm leaving some black showing. You could always put the orange pieces closer together. See, mine's already starting to get flat again just by me pushing down on it. Okay. I hope everybody had a great Halloween. Halloween was just a few days ago. I hope everybody got to wear their costume and do some fun things with your families. Okay. Ready? I had to add a little bit more glue to mine. And then you keep just pressing it on. Till it's all covered. Perfect. And then after you've filled it all up as much as you want with the orange squares, then we can work on his stem. So I take my brown rectangle, excuse me, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue at the bottom, like this. And then I'm going to stick it onto the back. You can put it on there however you want. then I'm going to take his little leaf, his baby from the vine. He still has a leaf, and I did the same thing. I put a little bit of glue on the bottom, and then I'm going to stick it right here. Like that. And then we have glue so handy right next to us, or again, you can use those finger muscles and peel off the back of your googly eyes because they're stickers. So one peeled. Put one right here. And I'll do the other one. And then if you want, once he's dry, you can always take either a special little crayon or pencil or a marker. Oh, wait, this one's getting tricky. And you can draw a little smiley face on him too. So there is my Spookley. So once he's dry, you'll be able to display him and hang him somewhere as a reminder that it's okay to be different, and being different can be very special and beautiful. Thank you all for joining me. I hope to see you again next week. Bye.